Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show podcast. Today is March 10th, 2021. We have a great guest today, everybody. Taylor Johnson from Keller Williams Advantage is with us. Hi, Taylor. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. We're going to talk about all things mortgage and real estate. And with us on our panel, as always, we have Becky Alley, John Kolb, Lisa Lawson, Harvey Freed, and myself. Becky Alley, John Kolb, top 1% of all mortgage originators in the United States. Lisa Lawson, she is our Google here in the office, knows everything about everything. Harvey Freed, Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show host, 97.1 FM, heard every Saturday morning from 9 to 10. We are in our 21st year of doing that. I am Harry Glanz, and I'm going to bring up the conversation for today. The purchase market is hot, everybody. We're not going to talk about things in any certain order because we know how hot it is. Lisa Lawson, we have seen some crazy things going on, and I'm sure your guests can also pontificate and also confirm all the crazy contingencies that we're seeing on purchase agreements, things that shouldn't be in there, things that people never should agree to, but also things, as we've learned from last week's podcast, things that are being reworded and reworked to have a positive effect both on buyers and sellers. So let's start off with you, Lisa. What contingencies should always be in there and what contingencies should never be waived?
I think the biggest thing that you're talking about is waiving private home inspections. And, we're a big component of never doing that. We want our borrowers to understand the home that they're buying, know that it's safe and structurally sound. I think people are so eager to get an offer accepted that they're waiving this and not realizing that if you move into the property and all of a sudden, water's pouring out of your leaky roof, there is no way to go back and try to fix that. You have no leg to stand on because you've waived your ability to get an inspection and you bought the home as is. So we are always a proponent of getting a private home inspection or any other inspections that go with it, whether it's sewer, whatever else that you need to feel that home is structurally sound. Especially in this market, just because it's hot and just because it's very competitive, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't make a wise decision for the family and for your future by buying a home that's structurally okay.
Well, people are acting irrational out there, Taylor Johnson. What are you seeing in the way of contingencies being added or people want to waive them? And how hot is your market right now?
Same. I work primarily in the Wayne and Oakland counties, and right now it's just very low inventory. So it's making it very much so that seller's market where, there's more qualified buyers than there are properties available for these buyers to purchase. So they are going to very extreme levels to get their offers accepted. I mean, one of the biggest things that's really common right now are appraisal guarantees. So this is basically when a buyer says that they're going to guarantee a seller a certain amount, regardless of what the appraisal report comes back or appraisal value comes back as. So they'll cover a certain spread to absorb or, cover the cost of whatever that appraisal didn't value at. Again, that's really ranging. I'm seeing that at least 10 is getting the job done. But then some people are going up to 15 and things of that nature as well, too. I know with certain mortgage types, you're not allowed to add in those types of appraisal guarantees. But that is definitely a very common clause that's being added to a lot of purchase agreements right now. Before that, it was escalation clauses. So an escalation clause is basically when a buyer said that they were willing to, the offer will be certain amount, and then they're willing to beat out if there was another competing offer that came in at that same amount. They'll increase their offer, maybe 1,000, 2,000, something like that, higher than whatever the highest competing offer is. So when that wasn't sufficient enough, that's when we started seeing more of the appraisal guarantees. But yes, just like what Lisa was saying, with the some buyers are waiving their inspection. As a real estate agent, I never ask clients to waive that, or at least I don't encourage it. That's always the buyer's choice if they choose to, but I don't. If anything, we can reduce the number of days that we have for the inspection. Whereas before, maybe we were seeing 7 or 10 days. Maybe now, if we know that we have a great inspector lined up, we can do maybe 3 or 5 days or something along those lines. But to do one, not at all, that's not usually the best way to protect yourself.
Yeah, Taylor, I want to go to our panel right now of Harvey Freed, John Kolb, and Becky. I know John's chomping at the bit, but Becky, I want to go to you first. We do like to have a little bit of structure. I want to hear what you have to say regarding these appraisal and inspection contingencies and what you're experiencing right now.
Yeah, I mean, actually, to piggyback on what Taylor just said, I actually had a conversation earlier this morning with one of my agents. She's got first-time home buyers. They're doing $10,000 down, 800 credit score. They're willing to do 30 days occupancy, and they are getting crushed because of the appraisal guarantees. And I mean, they've gotten beat out, I think she said 15 different offers, and all of them either went cash or these appraisal guarantees. And I actually had a buyer of mine, the real estate agent, the listing agent called me. It was 9:00 on Sunday. And the buyer's agent was like, call this listing agent right now, multiple offer situation as they are. It's like literally as soon as a house hits the market, everyone is just flocking to it, stampedes. It's like Black Friday over all these homes. So anyway, so I talked to this real estate agent on Sunday, and they said, okay, well, I noticed that there was a no limit on an appraisal guarantee. No limit, meaning that no matter what it came in at, they were going to go to the purchase price. So if it came in at 240, they were going to bring in that difference to get up to 275. And the agent said that's not the highest offer we got, but the appraisal guarantee is really attractive. So based off what you're saying and they're qualified, we're going to go with this offer. And that truly is the way the market is turning. And I feel like there needs to be some kind of better way that we need to get these offers to stand out, because it's going to get crazy real quick, especially when these, more homes are coming on the market. It's not going to match the number of buyers that are out there. And these real estate agents, as you know, Taylor, you guys are just getting crushed.
Yeah. Hey, John Kolb and everybody, we're seeing a lot of purchase transactions. It never really stopped from last winter. After Christmas, we never really stopped seeing purchases because of the limited number of homes on the market. John Kolb, you were chomping at the bit. You wanted to get something out really quick, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about the inspections, right? And how we just vehemently disagree with an inspection waiver. We have talked to many real estate partners over the last couple of weeks who have had some really good ideas on how to have best of both worlds, so that their clients still do get the inspection. One of them being that the inspection is not for a price renegotiation. It is literally just a pass-fail, where if something pops up, they can either say yes or no that they want to continue purchasing the home, but at least it gives the seller the comfort that their price and their offer will remain the same. It's just whether or not something comes down to, is it worth getting into this home if there's that big of an issue? And
yeah.
One of the issues that we had, issues that a client had where this kind of worked out was the sewer line. The sewer line could not be detected how far and how much work it needed. It needed some sort of work. That could be a $3,500 fix, or it could be a $35,000 fix. So, the clients decided to fail the inspection and walked from the home. And you know what? That's their right. And they should always have that. Taking that away from them. There's so many articles and stories out there of people that did not do an inspection waiver, and it's coming back to bite them in the ass. Yep. And I said it on a podcast, it is coming back to bite them in the ass. And we don't want that ever.
I'm not that cool. I don't swear on podcasts or ever. Harvey Freed, I'm going to let you wrap up this part, and then I'm going to give my 2 cents in. We'll move on to Taylor and Lisa with another subject. Harvey, what do you think about all these crazy contingencies that are being added or taken away on purchase agreements right now?
Yeah, I'm okay with it all. Last year, home prices increased 16% from the year before. Newly listed homes are at an all-time high already for 2021, up 10% already from March of last year. Hey, if you want to overpay for a house, if you want to do the appraisal guarantee, understand the dollars. If you're comfortable with the house payment with these very low interest rates, then my suggestion is to go for it. You're either buying a house in today's marketplace aggressively and dealing with professionals And Taylor Johnson, I loved your presentation. You've got a lot of great stuff to say. So you got to get with a great agent like Taylor and she'll hook you up. You got to make the move.
Yeah. My 2 cents on this subject is, as of right now, desperate people are doing desperate things. Listings are down in Wayne, Macomb, and Livingston County over 70% from last year. Listings are down. And listings are down over 80% in Oakland County. So what is this doing? The behavioral pattern right now in the home purchase market, in my opinion, Harry Glanz's opinion only, is irrational. And it's leading to irrational behavior. I'm going to tell you a quick story and then we're going to move on. I have a friend of mine. He's purchasing a very, very large house. It's in the millions. It's in the multi-millions. He not only, against the advice of one of his best friends for over 50 years, not only waived the inspection contingency, he put a limit on the number of days, so he couldn't get it out of it after a certain amount of days. Well, when the appraisal came back $900,000 less than the purchase price that he agreed on. So what happens? He calls who up and says, how do I get out of it? And you know what I asked the first thing? I said, did you have appraisal contingency? No, remember, I waived that. Well, you can't get out on the appraisal. I said, okay, what about the inspection? You want to cancel it due to a bad inspection? He said it was a limited number of days. And then I went back and I gave him the I told you so. So now, how much earnest money did he give? Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Correct, John Kolb, but we didn't want to say that on the air.
I didn't say anything.
All I'm telling you, yeah, I can read hand signs. All I can tell you, Taylor and Lisa, we're going to go to the next question, but I do not believe in irrational behavior. Irrational people do irrational things in irrational times. I don't like it. Never done it, never will, not going to happen. So when we advise our clients, no matter what the market is, we're going to get into the next question. Next question goes like this. Yes, you're going to have to overbid. If you want the house, you're going to have to overbid, right? When does it make sense to overbid and when doesn't it make sense to overbid? Lisa, Lawson, and Taylor. And Lisa, you go first.
You know, everybody's scenario is different. There are certain loan types that you can't pay more than the appraised value, and I deal with them all the time. So if you're someone who's getting down payment assistance, you cannot make appraisal guarantees. You cannot make, I'm going to pay up to $7,000 more over appraised value because the purchase price and the appraised value have to match pretty much. You can't pay more than what the house is currently worth with those programs. So, every program is different. But for the most part, I think if you're pulling comps, and obviously sometimes people have a home that they know is going to appraise for a little bit more than what's listed. In that scenario, you could, I don't want to say take a gamble, but you could offer more. Other people, if you've got money in the bank and you are okay with spending whatever that number is, 10, 15, 30,000 more than the appraised value, because you have that plus all your closing costs, down payment, that's your prerogative. But you have to absolutely know where you stand, because making guarantees that you can't back is going to cost you dearly. So you have to work with the loan officer that's giving you honest information, explaining what these options are to you and making sure that you can afford them in case they do come to fruition.
So wait, you're telling me, Lisa, that if someone is trying to get the state to help them purchase a home, they can't overpay for the house and bring extra money? Wow.
I know, shocking.
I mean, there's some people out there that will try some really shady things, and that's one of them.
Right.
So good advice.
Taylor, what do you say, Taylor? And this is why we have experts on this show, Taylor. You're looking at over 150 years of expertise in mortgage banking, real estate right in front of you. And that's why we come to you. When does it make sense for somebody to overbid, and when doesn't it make sense for somebody to overbid?
I definitely second a lot of what Lisa said. I mean, for myself, I definitely treat it per client and then per property as well. And then by doing a comparative market analysis, that's where we really see what our margins truly are and what is the best case scenario and what is the worst case scenario. Because when you do an appraisal guarantee, it does not always mean you have to bring that full spread. If the house appraises at that contractual price, then you're good to move forward. But if in the event it doesn't, is what protections do you have in place and what are your minimum minimums and maximums of how much of that spread will you have to bring. So running the comps for each one is very vital. I know we were writing an offer with I was writing an offer with a buyer client for a house out in Farmington Hills. And after looking at the comps, I mean, while the house was beautiful, that buyer then declined on like putting themselves in I'm going to guarantee a certain amount, because even in doing the comps, it just wasn't there. So it's like they would more than likely have to cover a larger spread to meet that price. And then another thing too is sometimes depending on how much they were estimating to put down for my clients who aren't receiving down payment assistance, one strategy we have been doing is potentially reducing the amount they were going to use for down payment so that they can have that difference to use towards an appraisal guarantee. So that's another way that sometimes we're restructuring it as well too. But again, that's if they don't have any, say if they were going to bring 20%, but they were only required to bring 10, for instance, then they don't have to, commit a full 20% if they just need to meet the minimum of bringing 10, so that is the way, again, just property by property, client by client, a way that we are approaching it right now.
Excellent answer. Becky Alley, success stories with people that are overbidding. Talk about that.
I mean, if you win, it's a success story, right? So, I mean, if you're just throwing up, I'm going to go 20,000 and if they pick you, then hooray, that's your success story. I mean, because that is what everyone is experiencing right now, is that, like you said, that desperation, trying to find that new in vogue way to stand out. But let me just say this, part of standing out is aligning yourself with a team of professionals, right? You need to start with that pre-approval. We preach that over and over again. So when you're in these situations and you're looking at a house with Taylor Johnson, you know that if you got to go $10,000 over, you already had that conversation with Capital Mortgage Funding. You already had that conversation with Lisa. You can make those decisions and she can make those decisions for you without even having to consult you, because that's how quick you have to act. If you have an opportunity to get into a house before it hits in the market, because some of those you do have some inside tips, and I know that's a reality that you can look at houses sometimes before they hit the market. You need to be in a position to come of strength. And when someone sees that pre-approval and they know they can call and answer, they're going to get an answer from someone at Capital Mortgage Funding, especially Lisa, at 9:00 at night. That is going to be a success story when you are calling them and you are reassuring that listing agent, yes, I've looked at their income, I have their assets. This is going to be a clean transaction, assuming that all third parties that we have to deal with title and appraisal align with us, we can get this expedited for you. So those are the conversations. And part of that is aligning yourself with this team of professionals. So that way, when your pre-approval hits that hands of that seller, they know it's going to close, because who cares if someone pre-approves you for $1 million if the loan never closes. I actually had one just last month. They were denied by one of these other lenders that advertise regularly. Okay. It was nothing complex. It was a little bit of a unique situation, and it just took a little bit of thought. We got it closed in 20 days. First time home buyer, got it done. She already had the offer. We weren't about to let this home slip through her fingers. That is a great success story. And part of that, like I said, get that team of professionals behind you and, just knock it out, because that is the biggest part of this battle sometimes.
Yeah. Hey, John, putting your best offer forward, John Kolb, up front, maybe overbidding so you can win, putting your best offer up front so you're not going back and forth, because in this market, you're not going to be able to go back and forth, right? Because there's 5 or 6 people, maybe 10 coming in from behind you. Talk about putting up in your best offer forward.
Well, I'm a big fan of an escalation clause, and I know that they don't stand out as much anymore. Maybe because people put a cap on them, but best foot forward, and just let them know, hey, I'm willing to go, $5,000 over best offer and guarantee it at a appraisal up to a certain dollar amount. I mean, there's all these different caveats that you can put into an agreement to make it the best for all parties, but you have to be aware of everything that you are getting yourself into. For example, we get clients that there's good realtors, there's bad realtors, bad lenders, there's good lenders. You get some newer realtors out there who don't understand it, and they put an escalation clause all the way up to, unknown amounts, and the clients are only putting 5% down. Well, how is that going to work when the house doesn't appraise out? The house doesn't appraise out. The client only had the 5% to put down. They don't have the extra 10, 15, 20 grand to come up with if the house doesn't appraise out. And now you've put them in a pickle where they're going to lose their EMD, or two, be subject to legalities because, the seller's trying to uphold the contract. Far-fetched things that may happen or may not happen, but you got to be making sure that you're looking at all these things. And a good realtor, a good lender is going to make sure that the client is well-versed in what kind of offer they're making and I always call it the devil's advocate. I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to see what the worst case scenario that could happen so that max out of pocket if the worst happens.
Excellent. I don't know where Harvey is, but here to wrap up this segment, it's like this. We know rates are going. We know where rates are. Rates are historically low, but they're not going down to zero. There's a huge pent-up demand still because of COVID, because of limited inventory, because of low rates. Everybody wants to get in. Let's talk about Lisa and Taylor. What are you guys experiencing because prices are going through the roof? Let's talk about appraisals. Lisa and Taylor, what are you seeing out on the street? And we'll get to Becky and John after. Don't know where Harvey went. And let's talk about appraisals. What's going on with appraisals, Lisa?
I don't want to jinx myself because I've been okay. I've had one that came in a little light, and I'm going to knock on wood. You guys don't know my desk is wood, but I'm knocking on wood. And that one that came in a little late, they were expecting it. They kind of already knew that their offer was a little bit outside the box, and the seller dropped it to the appraised value and moved forward. So I don't want to jinx myself, but again, this is about working with agents like Taylor who understand the market, understand the buyers, understand the loan products that they have, and understand what they're qualified for, and putting together an offer that makes sense. And it doesn't mean the first offer is accepted. Sometimes my poor buyers are going out and putting 4, 5, 6, 7 offers out before they get the right one, but knowing that that is the one that they need to make work for them is imperative. So I've been very fortunate. I don't want to jinx myself, but I know other people have not had the same experiences. So I'm going to defer to one of them.
Go ahead, Taylor. What do you got? How about
Yeah.
you? What are you seeing on the street?
Yeah, that's a good point. For myself, it's been hit or miss sometimes. I mean, I had a house that came in at value yesterday, so it's not as common but I have had a few that didn't make value, and the seller was not going to reduce the price. So unfortunately, those buyers were out of their inspection and the appraisal fee for that particular property. And when I checked it, that house is still on market, because it's like you still have to be reasonable to what is selling around you, and if someone's going to bring that difference or not. And if the property is even worth it to that pool of buyers to even be bringing a difference. So, that is sometimes what's happening, but for the most part, some buyer clients are seeing value or a little bit over, so it's still opportunity, even in a crazy market, even when prices are high, to still be walking into a positive equity situation after closing on your home as well. So, at value or over is always best. And then just preparing your buyers, if it comes in low, did we already come and write our offer with a plan in place that if that is the case, what do we do? But I think that's why it's very important that for anyone that's out purchasing right now, you want to be sure that you're having a home buyer's consultation so that your agent has that time to prepare you and prep you, let you know what's going on in the market. And like John was saying, start paying and being that devil's advocate of what's the worst case scenarios when things arise.
Wonderful. John Kolb, appraisals, and then we'll give everybody a last word here.
Like Lisa said, we've had a lot of good luck with appraisals lately. I think this spring we're going to see a lot more appraisal issues, but I think you're also going to have people that are doing the appraisal guarantees and the escalation clauses. So they should be prepped, ready, and willing, knowing that the appraisal may come in low. You just got to be ready, and you got to make sure you understand. And I think that'll save us on a lot of our time, efforts, and going back to the appraisers to see if we can get things adjusted, because people know that they might have to bring more money than what the house appraises for based upon what they've done. It's causing everyone to do a little bit more research. That's always a good thing. More research is always better than less. And I don't foresee any real issues coming up. You're going to have your one here, one there, but who doesn't? And that's just part of doing business. B. Alley?
Either prepare, like fail to prepare or prepare to fail, right? That is literally what is happening in this market right now. So you can't go into it blindly. Obviously, that's why these appraisal guarantees are so in vogue right now, because, you know, there's these bidding wars and some agents are holding back. I mean, you have one buyer, 32 offers, and one closing on one property in some of these situations, you know, so that is a lot of competition. And, you know, what you're doing up front is, you know, like to be that one person that's going to get this house that everyone's fighting over. You know, it's like the toilet paper shortage, right? Everyone's now fighting over these one couple of houses that are on the market that are even halfway decent. And like Harry was mentioning in the beginning, you know, it's creating some bad behavior, desperation. I really need this house because there's no other house, and I have to have this house because this is it. This is the house. This is the only house, so I have to have it, right? So, you know, you have to just be prepared for that. And you know, you are going to see some lower value sometimes because of these appraisal guarantees. So that's why you got to be careful. You know, make sure that you're not overextending yourself and getting yourself in a position like Harry's client where you're $900,000 in the hole and you're like, okay, what are we going to do? So we're here to help you. We're here to advise you. We're here to get you in line with really good real estate agents that are going to help you kind of weed through this, because it's crazy out there. It's something we've never seen. And, you know, with the interest rates, like we mentioned just briefly, the market is correcting itself. The market was artificially deflated for some time. You know, so now we're going to see this increase, but the market is correcting itself, and it's going to be a little bit crazy before it settles out.
Yeah, people don't understand that when they're signing a document, it's a legal document. It's not, I'm putting an offer in, I'm waiving everything, and then I get to get out of it whenever I want because I don't feel like it. No, this is the real world. This is being an adult. You sign a document, you have to live up to the document. That's why we believe in all the protection mechanisms in there. And that's why on the onset, we talk about irrational markets, irrational behavior, and irrationality that's going on. Now, the positive side is that we like to see the vibrancy, the energy, putting people in homes, and everything's great. I think it's wonderful, but people still need to be protected, and they still have to consult with a professional that's going to make sure all the bases are covered. Last but certainly not least, we got to talk a little bit about interest rates. They're not going down. People who have not refinanced, you should do it now. Pay off debt. You got to consolidate the toxic debt. Mortgage interest is still tax deductible. Rate and term refi, we're still saving thousands of families, millions of dollars every single day. We will continue to do that. I'm just proud to be working with all you guys. Taylor Johnson, you've been a wonderful guest. Why don't you give everybody your phone number out there where they can contact you and your email? Oh, you're on mute.
We got you on mute, Taylor.
You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank
you
you. Taylor Johnson, my number is 313-333-5324, and my email is info@youragenttaylor.com.
Okay, and when is the show podcast with Lisa Lawson? When is that going to be aired so everybody can tune in and listen to all the good information you guys are going to put out there and all the knowledge?
Lisa?
It's tonight at 7 on Facebook. I'm sorry, not Facebook, Instagram Live.
Yeah, and I'll be right
Live.
from my Instagram Live. Sorry, just interject. It's from my Instagram Live page, Your Agent Taylor.
Yep.
Nice.
That's awesome. So, Becky, Ellie, last words, and we go to John Kolb, and we'll wrap it up.
Listen, let's rock out. It's spring. It's beautiful out, and there's nothing more beautiful than home ownership. So let's get you in your houses. Help us help you. We're here. You don't have to walk the plank alone. And sometimes it's going to be some tough conversations, but the sooner you start the conversation, the better off you're going to be in this market, because it's just going to get bumpier before it gets calm. So help us help you, and we are here in any way, shape, or form to assist you.
John Kolb.
Good weather's here. Hopefully it stays. That means that we're going to have some good home buying season, some people out there looking for homes. Everybody's in a better mood. So let's get it going. Make sure you reach out to us so that we can get you the best info. You know, quit these online companies, the companies where there's gumball machines behind them, and you know, Magic Mike can talk to them and all this stuff that Harry likes to talk about. You need professionals that are working for you day, night, weekends. We're here. Let's go.
Lisa Lawson.
Yeah, same thing. You know, we're experts in our field. We all have a lot of experience, and we're here to make sure that this happens for you. You might not always like what we have to say because we're straight shooters. We're not going to sugarcoat it and tell you what you want to hear, but it's going to get done. And so I think it's important to work with the experts so you know how it is and let us help you.
Well, we work and live in your community. We've been doing it for over 30 years. We've saved, like I said, hundreds of thousands of families, millions and millions of dollars. We'll continue to be servant leaders in our community, help everybody out. Don't know where Harvey went, but for Lisa Lawson, Becky Alley, John Kolb, Taylor Johnson, our fine guest, Harvey Freed, Roberto Beauchesne, our producer and director every week. You can hear us. You can hear Harvey Freed in our show, 97.1 FM, every Saturday morning from 9 to 10. Been doing it for 21 years. I'm Harry Glanz, Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, equal housing lender, NMLS number 2289. Everybody can't wait to hear Lisa tonight with Taylor, and I can't wait to see everybody and talk to everybody on Saturday at 9 o'clock. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the spring weather. Almost 70 degrees today, March 10th. Let's go. Homes are selling fast.